Welcome to the Massage Life Podcast. I'm Jordan Pearson. I'm a chartered professional accountant, and I'm here with my wonderful wife, Melissa Pearson, who's a registered massage therapist, and we are the founders of the Online Wellness Institute, which is a continuing education platform for registered massage therapists. You can go to onlinewellness.ca. If you need any continuing education, that's the place to go. We have online courses. They're available on demand. You can use the discount code PODCAST to receive 10% off. And today we're going to be talking about gift certificates. So Christmas was just a couple days ago, and that's been a hot topic in a lot of different Facebook groups. And so we're going to spend some time talking about gift certificates because there's been some misinformation. Has there been some misinformation?
Just questions people have. So.
Yeah, there's been a lot of questions, and we like to, answer questions that are coming up from a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, and I know a lot of clinics, they don't really deal with a lot of gift certificates. I know I don't sell a lot of them. I don't push them. I hardly ever advertise them. It's just not. Yeah, they're kind of annoying.
They're so annoying. Well, the accounting is annoying.
Right.
Yeah,
and so it's not a big part of my practice. I sell a handful every year, but every practice is very different. Definitely when I worked at a spa, we sold a lot there. It feels more like a pamper treat, and so it depends where you're working if you sell a lot of them. But I think most places do offer them to some extent, right? If someone inquires about them, they have a way that someone can purchase a gift certificate So we'll just go over a few things that people have questions about. So the first thing I was thinking we could talk about is just how do you issue a gift certificate? Like, how do you even do that? I think we've said this a lot before, but the most important thing is don't make it difficult for people to give you money.
Right.
So don't make it challenging
for
people to purchase a gift certificate. If you have a way where someone can purchase one online, that's the best thing, right? Of course, someone coming into your clinic, they can easily purchase one while they're in person, but I think an online option is really convenient for people as well. And so
are there any experiences that come to mind? Experiences where you've had challenges purchasing a gift card from someone? Maybe not that specifically.
Well, even today, I tried to purchase a gift certificate from Superstore. I was like, I wonder if I can buy a Superstore gift certificate.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out how to buy a voucher online.
Right, and you were trying to buy a gas card.
And again, I couldn't get one. I couldn't get a gas card.
I was like, is this not a thing anymore?
Yeah.
It's like the accountants of the world have risen up and they're like, we don't want to account for this anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. So it is annoying. Same thing. Yeah, they missed out on my business. I was totally willing to drop money on a gift certificate today, and that business lost my money. Or I guess maybe I'll have to go drive over there now. But
when I had challenges a couple days ago buying a gift card from Superstore, my immediate thought was, why? Like, what's the accounting? Because this is an accounting issue, and why? Because I don't think it was just that they were all out. Like,
we had two different problems. You had a problem going into the store and even buying one.
Yeah, like
I was trying to buy one online.
They had tons of gift cards, but I think Superstore has changed how they do their gift cards. I think you end up buying points that you then add to the mobile app. I don't know, but whenever there's weird things going on with money, I always think that there's a room full of accountants and they're talking about
like, how can we save
money? There's an accounting reason behind this.
Right. Do you think it even has to do with the cost of those plastic cards?
Oh, I'm sure.
Right. I'm curious. I mean, I'm sure if you buy them in bulk, they're probably pretty cheap. But, I mean, that's an expense, that plastic card. So if someone can just load points on an app, then there's no plastic going around, right?
Well, we were talking about that yesterday. And I haven't fact-checked this. I don't know if this is real. But when you see things on Instagram,
I'm checking Snopes right now.
But it was, I think it was Delta Airlines, or one of the airline companies, they had said that they had changed the paper that they were using for their in-flight magazine, and it ended up making the magazine lighter by 1 ounce. And each flight they were saving 11 pounds. So pounds is the currency, not like pounds the weight. So 11 pounds, and then that equated to like 290,000 pounds in saved fuel over 1 year. And it's like, for sure this was something that was pushed by a room full of nerdy accountants. Right. Like, how can we save money? Which oddly enough, I'm always thinking about that. Like when I go to Costco, for example, and I see that the packaging has changed, I immediately think, okay, this, like, for sure there's an accounting reason behind this. Right? If they've been able to like change the manufacturing process, that they're saving like, X number of square feet of cardboard, like that adds up. Right. It's huge.
Right.
It's huge. Like when because you don't appreciate that with the small businesses that we operate. Like I think about the little soap company, and it's peanuts, right? Like it's a small business. Yes, it does reasonably well, but I'm not worried about like an extra bag because it's 50 cents. But if I'm able to save, like if I'm doing 100,000 orders a year and I'm able to save 10 cents by cutting down the cost of the bags that I use, like that's huge, right? That's a big savings.
Right.
And so, anyways.
The volume. Yeah.
The volume.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting.
Anyways, we're getting off topic. That always happens.
Anyway, so what we're talking about is not making it difficult for people to purchase a gift
Right.
certificate.
Right.
So I can sell them online using Jane, which makes it really easy. There's a button they can click. It walks them through the process. And then it issues them just a code that they can give. They don't have it set up really great yet. It's relatively new. With
They
Jane.
being Jane?
Jane, yeah.
Right.
It's still relatively new.
Sorry,
so
Jane.
they know they need to work on it. There's lots of
Yeah.
people who are like, this isn't perfect. Because the thing it spits out, it's not branded with my branding, even though everything else is. I don't know why they can't just put my logo on it. And I don't know. It's not really great. It doesn't print out anything really proper. And so
Right.
I also do have like professionally printed gift certificates, like postcard style. They're not the plastic ones, they're just like a piece of paper. And then I can either mail those or like go deliver them to some, like my radius is so small that I'm fine to just go deliver to their house, or they can come pick it up for me. So that's not that big of a deal. But if you don't have Jane or Notero or something like that, that's easy to purchase a gift certificate online with. I've also in the past, before Jane had gift certificate options, I purchased, I had people purchasing them through Square. So
Right.
Square has a really great feature actually. You can put in either, you can have people choose their own amounts if you want it to just be any dollar amount, or you can have preset amounts if you want to sell only, the same dollar amount as an hour massage, whatever you want to set it up.
Right.
So Square is a really great option, and that's free. So an easy way to do it.
Well, it's not free. You still pay for the merchant fees. But
Fair enough. You've paid for the merchant fees, same as credit card processing fees.
Right.
But
Right.
the platform in and of itself is free.
Sure.
Yeah. And then just when you're issuing gift certificates, just making sure that you have really clear policies around your gift certificates and making sure that your clients know about those policies as well. So for example, are those gift certificates transferable? Like, is that dollar amount going to be assigned to just that one person, or can they give it to anybody? In my opinion, it should be transferable.
Yeah.
Anyone can use it. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, just having really clear policies so that people are not confused.
Yeah.
So along with that is regulations. So that's mostly where these questions have been coming up, or what are the regulations? Right. So in Canada, it's actually done province to province. So each province has different rules. They're all, from what I understand, pretty similar. And a lot of it is surrounding expiry dates, whether that's allowed on a gift certificate or not. So It is kind of confusing. So this is how I understand it. Please check within your own province how it works and read it yourself.
So these are the rules. These are the rules for Alberta.
This is the rules. Yeah, these are the rules for Alberta. Like I said, I'm pretty sure they're fairly similar throughout, but
Yes.
But yeah, double check them. I always feel like we should have disclaimers for all our podcasts. Like, take this all with a grain of salt, but it is written up actually fairly simply. Some of the government websites where it's like pages and pages and it's written in legalese that's so hard to understand. This website's pretty good. If you just go to the canada.gov site, and then it has all the provinces listed with hyperlinks, and it's fairly well organized. It's not too crazy.
Right. That's good.
Yeah.
Can we link that website?
Sure.
In the show notes?
Yeah, definitely. So it is important to follow the regulations, because as with all regulations on a government level, it's like you can be fined. You can even go to prison. You can go to prison for 2 years. Not to make anyone panic.
Yeah, you're probably not going to be
No,
fined or
exactly.
put in jail.
No.
Disclaimer, if you are fined and or put in jail, you're on your own.
Don't call me from prison.
Don't call me from prison. Actually, do call me. That'd be fun. Like, how's it going?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
So yeah, generally gift certificates cannot have an expiry date. That's a relatively new rule over the past couple years.
Now, you say generally, so there's obviously an exception to that.
Yeah, as with a lot of things, there's exceptions. So the exception is this. One, if you give someone a gift certificate for a charitable contribution. So sometimes I give gift certificates for like a hockey raffle or something in the community. I can put an expiry date on that, because there's been no exchange of money. It's just kind of a coupon, sort of. So,
Okay.
So you can put an expiry date on that.
Now, shouldn't it be clearly noted on the gift certificate that it's just for this service and that there's no dollar value that's put on the gift certificate at all? Would it be different if there was a dollar value that was put on the gift certificate? Like, what if it said $126? That was the monetary value of that. Yeah.
I think you still can. From what I understand, yes, you can still put an expiry date on it because you've donated it.
Okay.
That's how I read it.
Okay.
But going back to the dollar amount thing. So if someone purchases a gift certificate for $120 and that's written on the gift certificate that it's just worth $120 and they could split it up, if they wanted to do 2 30-minute massages or if they want to add it to a 90-minute massage or whatever. They can use it any way they want.
Right.
That dollar value, it can't have an expiry date. But if you issue a gift certificate that's for a specific service, so you write on the gift certificate 1 60-minute massage, there's no dollar amounts on that can have an expiry date.
Okay.
And it's interesting, on the Canada website, it gives 2 examples of services, and one is a haircut and one is a massage. And right clearly on there it says, if you're giving a service and it just says for a massage, it can have an expiry date.
Right. If there's no monetary value. That's noted anywhere on their certificate.
Right.
Even if there has been an exchange of cash.
Right. Yeah. We're not talking anymore about the charitable contributions. Now we're speaking about someone actually purchasing a gift certificate with money.
Okay.
So there's 2 ways to do it. So you need to decide when you issue gift certificates, and I guess you could do it both ways if you wanted to. If you wanted to do dollar value, and if you wanted to do service value, I'll call it, you could do it both ways. And then but the expiry dates can only be issued on the ones that are for a specific service.
Right.
So I don't know if you just want to make it more simple for yourself and have it one way or the other. Like for mine, I don't have expiry dates on mine.
So just as a recap, customer comes to you and they spend $126 to buy a gift certificate from you. Option 1, you issue them a gift certificate that says $126 on it. That can have no expiry date on it, correct? Option 2, they come to you and spend the same amount, $126, and you give them a gift certificate that says 1 hour massage. That can have an expiry date on it.
It doesn't have to, though.
It doesn't have to.
Right. If
but
you
it can.
want to, you can. You can put it on. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you do?
So right now, I'm kind of bad. Like I said, I don't sell very many gift certificates, so I should really have clearer guidelines. When someone purchases one online, it has a specific value attached to it. It just says the dollar amount.
Right.
Because in Jane, they don't have the option to sell like set amounts. People can just load whatever amount they want on it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it does have the dollar amount, no expiry date. When someone purchases a paper one from me, I usually will just write 1 60-minute massage, and I don't have an expiry date on it because I haven't created that policy yet, and I don't inform people that that's a thing. So I don't have an expiry date on it, but I usually just do put, if they've purchased it they say, I want to buy my mom 1 60-minute massage. Then I just put 60-minute massage. Because I think it's nicer when you receive the gift certificate and it just says 60-minute massage, rather than this cost me this much money.
Right, I spent this much
money on you.
Right.
But I should probably ask the client what they would prefer. Do you want me to write 60-minute massage on here, or do you want it to have a dollar value?
Right.
But that's just how I do it. Do you think I should do it that way, or do you think it really matters?
I don't think it really matters. Like, I think best practice is to, if somebody comes 2 years down the road, are you really going to be like super petty? Like, oh, this is expired. It's like, well, you got money, right? Like, man up and give the service. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm being, maybe I'm creating enemies out there. I don't know, but
yeah,
it's not something like like you said, you don't issue a lot of gift certificates. That's not a big part of your business, but I just think it's best practice to when somebody purchases a gift card to not have an expiry date on it.
Right. I think that the thing that can be tricky is if you increase your price. So if someone purchases a gift certificate, even the dollar value ones, so I've had that problem before, actually. Right. I had someone purchase a gift certificate. In the meantime, I increased my rate, and they had purchased the gift certificate for the amount that a 1 hour massage cost. And so now I had increased my price by $10. So now they're $10 short.
Okay.
For the treatment, right? And so what I'm saying, like, okay, now you owe me $10. And so I just honored the price. I just gave them a discount,
right,
and didn't worry about that extra amount. But I do think that sometimes makes it tricky. Also, the thing why I think maybe an expiry date is nice is because practitioners move clinics a lot, right?
Yeah, that's a really good
10
point.
clinics, maybe not 10. I've worked at a lot of different places.
Yeah.
And so it does make it challenging if someone buys that gift certificate, especially wanting to see a specific practitioner, and they're like, oh, I have this gift card, I'll save it for later, and then 10 years later they try to go use it, and that practitioner's not even there anymore.
I mean, they could still use it with another practitioner.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. Just having an expiry date on it just creates this, not that I want the person to be like stressed that they need to use it, but just this little bit of sense of urgency, like go in and use it. That way you don't have to worry about, prices increasing or therapists moving or anything like that.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Just things to think about, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's it about the provincial regulations. There are more rules, so you can read about them, but they're pretty easygoing. Mostly things like make sure your policies are clearly stated and that sort of thing. There's also like other certain fees that you can't charge. You can charge a fee when you issue a gift certificate. I wouldn't recommend that. That's allowed, but you aren't allowed to have, I guess in the past, some people were doing, if you didn't use the gift certificate within a year, like every year they would take off $10 or something off the value of the gift certificate.
Okay.
Every year. And then eventually it would reach zero and be not valid anymore. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
You're not allowed to do that. There's a lot of weird rules like that. So definitely people should read it.
Isn't that how the Visa MasterCards work?
Okay. Visa gift cards are a whole different thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So Visa or MasterCard, those are actually not gift certificates. They're a prepaid card.
Okay.
That's a whole different ballgame. Those are allowed to do. They're allowed to have that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is why it's good to have this disclaimer at the beginning, because there's just so much nuance in the rules and regulations. I think for massage therapists, we've laid it out pretty clearly.
Right.
But yeah, I started to go down the rabbit hole with respect to GST, right? Because that was a whole different, can of worms. And I assumed that it would be really simple and basic, and it is with respect to service-based businesses like massage therapists. But there's a whole lot of nuance there,
right,
when you're selling different things,
right?
And anyways,
yeah, sometimes you can get caught up in it for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so the next thing to get caught up in is insurance implications.
Right.
So that's also where people have been asking a lot of questions. So people are asking, how do I write a receipt for the purchase of a gift certificate? So you have to look at it as almost I don't know if two transactions is the right word, but there's two chances when you need to give someone a receipt. So when the gift certificate is purchased, according to the provincial government, you are supposed to issue a receipt when someone purchases a gift card, right? And so you do need to give that person a receipt, but as we know with massage, you don't just give a receipt when someone purchases something. The receipt can only be given when the service is rendered. The RMT receipt, the receipt with your RMT number on it, saying 60-minute massage, right? And so that receipt, when the gift certificate is purchased, it needs to be very clear that it's just for the purchase of a gift certificate and that no service has been rendered at that time.
Right.
So I would recommend not having your RMT number even on that gift certificate.
Yeah, it shouldn't be at all. No.
I think on mine, when someone buys it on Jane, it is, because that's just how the receipt is like.
That needs to change.
Yeah, but I don't think that's something I can change on my end. I think it's something that Jane needs to change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Geez, get with the program, Jane.
They probably don't listen to this, but
yeah. Well, if someone does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Because that shouldn't be on there.
Okay.
And maybe it's not. Maybe I need to double check. I shouldn't be bashing Jane. And I'm not bashing them. I'm just saying.
I mean, you use Jane. I really like Jane.
Yeah, we love Jane.
Yeah, it's great.
So I should double check that it is on there. That's how I understood it. It could have changed because I know they're refining it.
Yeah.
And so, again, it just needs to be clearly stated just for the purchase of the gift certificate. And now the other point of contact is when the client comes in and they're using the gift certificate to receive the treatment. So there's been a lot of discussion about how to issue a receipt at that time, and if that receipt that you give them can be then submitted to their insurance.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of different opinions, and
well, what do the insurance companies say about it?
So there's two different people that I think we need to listen to. One is the massage therapy associations or colleges, and two are the insurance companies.
So not random Joe Blow on Facebook?
Not random Joe Blow. Not even Melissa's opinion of how it should be done.
Yeah. And we try to do that with everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
and that's what's so frustrating. on any forum is you have people giving their opinion on what they think is the right way to do things.
Right.
And that's not always the case. There have been numerous occasions where I've been asked an accounting or income tax question and I think I know the answer. And then when I actually look at what the Canada Revenue Agency has to say about it, like, oh, wow, I was totally wrong. Right. And so we've tried to, with everything that all the information that we put out there, we try to go back to the source. Right? What does the association say? What does the Canada Revenue Agency say? What does the government of Alberta say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all of our courses, like our reference list is always super long because I feel like anything I write, it needs to be referenced.
Right.
Like, where's this coming from?
Credible sources.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really important.
The authority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what I've been able to uncover is a lot of the associations, so the ones that I've been able to find information from are MTA in Alberta and then also CMTO in Ontario. And they state that when you give the receipt at the time of the service, that it should just say redeemed gift certificate, and that on that receipt, it should not say a dollar amount. It should just say they've come in for their massage, 60-minute massage, no dollar amount should be found anywhere on that piece of paper.
This is what the CMTO says?
Yes.
Okay.
And MTAA.
Okay. Interesting.
And probably some other associations, but I haven't read every single association's fee guidelines. Okay. So, but when I was writing my direct billing course, it was something I wanted to look into. And so I went to CHLIA. It's like the Canadian Life Insurance Association. So they're the association over all of the insurance companies.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of really great guidelines, a lot about, avoiding fraud and things like that. And I actually not only read all their documents, but I also emailed them directly because I wanted to know if that's true, that's how we have to handle gift certificates. And they said that when you're issuing a receipt, that it just needs to say how they paid. Cash, check, gift certificate. You put it in, and that's it that you need to do. And then if they want to submit it to their insurance company, they can. The insurance company can choose whether they want to reimburse that client or not.
Okay.
Right? Because the argument is that the insurance company will not reimburse you because that client didn't pay for it. No money came out of their bank account. Right? But in my mind, but that could happen for anything. They could have come in with cash from their grandma from their birthday, and that cash didn't leave their bank account. Do you know what I mean? Like, someone else could have paid for that treatment, or they could have had their wife's visa or their sister's visa or anything, right? And
or my visa that they stole from my pocket. Yeah.
Right?
Right? Yeah. Okay.
So
interesting.
Or sometimes people buy gift certificates for themselves. I know one time one of my friends, she was doing a sale on gift certificates, and it was like 5% off gift certificates, like the dollar value. Right. Or you buy 2 gift certificates and you get a free Tim Hortons gift card. Or like, I don't know. She was doing something interesting. And she was like, and people were asking me that, well, can I buy a gift certificate for myself? And she was like, sure. And so.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's kind of that's not always a problem, right? If it says gift certificate on it. That's going to be up to the insurance company. And each insurance company, we know there's over 40 in Canada, they can choose what they want to do with that information. If they want to deny all claims that say they were paid for by a gift certificate, then that's their choice.
Right.
And so, so what I do is I totally, it's very clear on there, gift certificate redeemed, but on my receipts, I do have the dollar value on it. And I tell the clients, it's up to you. I don't do anything on my end. I can't direct bill it because it's like already paid for, right? So there's nothing I can do on my end. I just give the receipt to them and I tell them, you can try to submit it if you would like. Just a heads up, it may come back denied.
Right.
And I kind of leave it in their hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. This is really interesting. The massage association, so you might not know the answer to this, but the massage associations, their guidelines, do they say like this is how it should be, or is it like, oh, you may not want to, like, what's the language? How firm is it?
I don't have it pulled up right in front of you right now, but from what I read, it was pretty like this is how it should be done. Should, I think is the word.
Okay, so should, there's some, it kind of, that's a passive word, right? Should opens the door for some interpretation.
True. And nothing was referenced. It's not like they had a link to, like, I don't know who's put this information together.
Right.
Because it kind of contradicts what I read from the insurance companies.
Right. This is interesting.
Yeah.
We should get all the associations in the same room.
Yeah.
And have a boxing match. That's awesome. Interesting.
So that's the trickiest one. But
okay.
Yeah. So now I'll hand it over to you if you want to talk about the accounting side, the GST side, the tracking side, bookkeeping. Talk to me about all that.
I feel like I should have notes, but I don't. So
well, I have some here, so if you need me to
yeah, the accounting. I hate the accounting for gift certificates because it's just such a pain. So let me break it down. When somebody purchases a gift card from you, you don't recognize a sale at the time that transaction takes place, right? Because you haven't given a service. You haven't put hands on anyone. There's been no massage that's been given. So what you actually have is a liability, right? So you receive the cash, and then on your balance sheet, I don't want to get into like debits and credits, but on your balance sheet, you would have a liability in the amount of whatever the gift card is that you sold. So you charge $120 for a 1 hour massage. So with GST, you're typically selling gift cards for $126. And so if you sell one of those, you'd have a liability on your balance sheet for $126. Now, the reason why I hate it is because I have to account for that, right? So I need to update your tracking, right? Your balance sheet to show a $120 liability or 126, whatever it is. I have to show a liability on your balance sheet, and then I need to track it somehow. So it's nice that we use Jane because all of your gift certificates are sold in Jane. You no longer use Square.
Or even if I do, I still put it into
right. You still put it into Jane. Yeah. It was a pain. I think at one point you weren't doing that, and so we had.
Well, I kind of didn't think I needed to or something. I didn't really make that connection. Like, oh, if I sell this, I need to like put it in as a transaction in Jane.
Yeah, and you don't need to, but it's just nice to have it in Jane because then you have all of your gift certificates, essentially your liability, like what is my unearned revenue is what it's called, right? What is the value of that? You can run a report in Jane and see exactly what that is, right? And so when I'm doing your bookkeeping every month, I need to go in and make sure that your balance sheet in QuickBooks, that the unearned revenue amount on your balance sheet agrees to what you have in Jane. And quite often it doesn't agree, and so there's a reconciliation that has to take place. And usually it's, either you've sold more gift certificates or you've had clients come in and they've redeemed their gift certificate. Mm-hmm. And so the tracking, it's not a pain anymore. I think the reason why it's a bit of a pain in QuickBooks is because I always forget how to do it.
Like which buttons to click?
Yeah, well, there's a couple different ways that you can manage recording and then the redemption of gift cards in QuickBooks. And I want to be, as you should with anything that you do in the accounting space, you want to be consistent in how you do things, right? So that if you ever have to go back, you've done those things the same way every time, right? Recording a gift certificate and redeeming a gift certificate. But if you're always jumping around between different accounting options, then it can just get a little bit muddy in QuickBooks. Like the fundamentals behind the scenes are always the same, right? I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because I don't want to bore people. But anyway, so I think that's clear. Like the main thing is you want to have some sort of tracking, whether you write it on a piece of paper or you record it in an Excel spreadsheet or you have something like Jane or you have something like QuickBooks. You just want to make sure that you're keeping track of the gift certificates that you've issued, and then also when they're redeemed that you're also updating that, right? That you actually go in and move the unearned revenue off your balance sheet and then you record the sale, right? So what we should talk about is GST. I think that's the biggest thing, and feel free to jump in with any questions you have because I feel like I just jump around and maybe don't kind of talk about the basics and really like dumb it down. Not that I want to dumb it down, but it's helpful to just like Yeah. So when somebody comes in and they want to buy a gift certificate from you and you charge them $120 and you know that eventually you're going to have to recognize the GST on that. And so up front, you'll charge what the value of the GST is going to be in the future. So if I were to come to you and buy that, I would pay $126 for a 1 hour gift certificate for a 1 hour massage. I would record that $126 as unearned revenue on my balance sheet. There would be no sale that's recognized at all. And that's going to sit on my balance sheet until the time that I come in and book that massage and I come see you. On that date, you would then take that, you would move the $126, you'd recognize that as a sale, and then you'd carve out the GST that you've actually collected on that, right? So you'd have $120 recognized as the sale of a 1 hour massage, and then the $6 GST that you've collected on that as well.
So you don't remit and submit it until
so you don't so you, even though like you are collecting GST up front, you don't recognize the GST because no service has been given.
It's kind of in this like waiting room.
Yeah, so the way it's described by the Canada Revenue Agency, if I remember the terms, is that the sale of a gift certificate is not considered a supply, right? So it's not considered a thing that is subject to GST, right? It's just an exchange of cash. Hey, I'm going to give you a service in the future. Cool, you can take my money. When you actually come in and you book that 1 hour massage, that's when the exchange of the supply or the good or the service takes place. And so at that point, that's when you have to recognize the GST component. Right?
You said when they book the massage. You mean when the massage
is actually given.
Yeah.
Right. And so I feel like that's...
Yeah, so it's kind of weird because you could be waiting years. Like I have a gift certificate someone bought literally 4 years ago and it's still sitting there.
Yeah, you remember you thought that was a scam.
Yeah, okay, that was a whole story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone bought it from like overseas.
Yeah, it was like some guy in, Eastern Europe, and he had a relative here in Chestermere.
Yeah, it was weird.
Anyways.
But I still have, they never came in and redeemed it.
Yeah, it's been
still
years.
sitting there. And so the government's never received that money,
right.
The GST. But I've also never received the money either, right? Because it's just sitting there. Now, maybe this isn't something we want to go into, but I'm going to ask it anyways. And I don't even know if you know the answer, but does that money, do I ever write that off? Like, do I ever reach a point where I say to myself, that person's probably never going to come in. It's been 4 years. Like, is there a certain time when I would move that off of my liabilities, mark it as revenue, deal with the GST, deal with taxes, like deal with it.
Yeah.
And just, I guess it's not a write-off. I recognize it as revenue.
You'd recognize it as revenue.
Yeah. So is there a rule about that and how long you have to wait?
Yes. So this is one of those situations where I don't know what the hard and fast rule is, but when I was going down the rabbit hole looking at the GST component, one of the things that they were talking about was something called a breakage rate on gift cards that are sold. And so when companies sell gift cards, and I think the examples that they were looking at are like big companies, right? Where they're selling a lot of gift cards. They'll have a breakage rate that's an estimate of how much they think those gift cards are never going to be used, right? So if it's 10%, 20%, and they'll base that on historical data, right? They'll say, okay, we've seen that, typically 10% of gift cards are never ever redeemed. And so when somebody purchases a gift card up front, they'll only record 90%.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's confusing.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
They'll only record 90% as unearned revenue.
Yeah.
They'll recognize the 10% as a sale right away.
Oh, that's crazy.
So that's what the breakage rate is. Now,
I get that, but that bit seems so messy.
And I would never, I would never do that for this type of business. As a massage therapist, never do that, right? Because it's a little bit different, because your the value of the gift card really is enough to purchase one service. You know what I mean? It's used up all at one time.
Right.
As opposed to I can buy a gift card to Tim Hortons.
Yeah, you might leave $1 on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I could use that gift card, 10 times over 2 years. Right? And then I lose it and forget that there's still an amount on there.
Interesting.
Right? And so the massage profession is a little bit different in that sense. Now, again, I'm assuming that gift certificates are not a big part of a massage therapist's business. And so I don't know what the hard and fast rules are, but because it's such a small component, the CRA is really not going to care, right? Because you have to think about what's happening, right? You're moving that off your balance sheet I touched the mic, so probably It's probably like a loud bang, so sorry.
No
about
one
that.
died. We're fine.
Yeah, no one died. We're okay. So when you think about the Canada Revenue Agency and what they care about, well, they actually don't want these unearned revenues sitting on your balance sheet forever.
No, because they're not earning any taxes off of that.
Yeah, it's not.
They're not collecting anything.
No, it's not taxable income.
Yeah.
Right? It's just sitting on a balance sheet as an unrecorded, as a liability. Right? And so that's actually one of the ways that people will commit fraud. Right? They can understate their revenue by overstating their liabilities. Right?
Right.
And so the Canada Revenue Agency is not going to care if at the end of the year you decide to take that unearned revenue and recognize it as revenue.
Interesting.
Right? And I think that's why there's not really a hard and fast rule. There probably is, because again, they're not going to want.
They don't want you.
Yeah, they don't want it sitting on your balance sheet forever.
Right.
To keep the accounting clean, I wouldn't leave anything on there past 2 years. Right? Even 1 year is a stretch, right? But for sure 2 years. Like if anything's on your balance sheet and that's 2 years old, like recognize the sale, right? And then if later on when that customer comes in and redeems the gift card, well, then there's nothing you have to do in terms of accounting for that at that point, right? You'll still issue a receipt, but there's not going to be any...
You don't mark it again. Yeah,
you don't mark it again. Like the sale has already been recognized.
Right. Interesting.
Right?
It's very interesting to me.
Anyways, so I hope that answered the question. I think the other thing was, did we want to talk about, because going back to what you were talking about at the beginning, how there's two options.
Okay.
Right? So you can have, you purchase a gift certificate for $126, and that $126 can be used in whatever way they want, right? If they want to buy a 30-minute massage, a 45-minute massage, a 90-minute massage, and so they may have to pay some out of pocket. They may have, some left over, right? Versus option 2, they buy a $126 gift certificate, and that can only be used for a 1-hour massage. Really, the accounting is exactly the same, right? So you're going to recognize the sale, and you're going to carve out whatever the GST or HST component is, right? The accounting is going to be exactly the same.
Right.
It doesn't really matter either way.
Right. Okay.
I hope that's clear.
Yeah. I feel like it is.
I'm always hesitant to say it's not rocket science, because that can be offensive to some people, but it really is. It's not that complicated.
No, and I think honestly, when people ask these questions, it's usually because they don't encounter it very often. And so when you learn it, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. But then you don't encounter it for a year. And then when it comes up again, you're like, wait, what am I supposed to do?
Well,
do you know what I mean? And so we just need a refresher. And so this is a good podcast, because when people are like, wait, what do I need to do? They can listen to it again. Right? And so...
Right. And the other problem is when lay people hear terms like income statement and balance sheet and unearned revenue and liability, they immediately start to feel some anxiety, because they don't know what those things mean, what they are, right? And so, it'd be good for us to talk about what those things are. I think for the most part, people understand what an income statement is. It's a summary of revenues and expenses over a period of time. But the balance sheet is a little bit more obscure, right? And the average person doesn't understand how the balance sheet ties into the income statement and vice versa, right? How they're related. And so, but I feel like it does make sense in the sense that, okay, if somebody buys a gift certificate from you and you have not given any service or product, you owe them something. Think about it as don't even think about it in business terms, right? If I give you $20, if I lend you $20, you owe me something. A
gift certificate really is like an IOU.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah, it's a piece of paper saying, I owe you this.
Yeah, and that IOU, that's what a liability is, right? Liability, unearned revenue, exact same thing, right? You owe your customer something. Whether it's you either refund them the gift certificate, you give the money back, or you give them a service. You give them a massage. You owe them something. So try not to get bogged down in the terms, right? Balance sheet, unearned revenue, liability. Just, I think we've explained it fairly well.
you just remind me of one more thing I'm going to bring up and then we'll go.
Okay.
Is you said something about refunding a gift certificate. So someone did recently have a question about that.
Okay.
Someone, their circumstances changed or something or whatever. They came to the client and asked for a refund and they had purchased a lot. It was $500 or $600 on a gift card.
Okay.
And they wanted a refund and the person was saying, well, actually the person was saying...
The person being the massage therapist?
Yeah, so the client wanted a refund. They wanted their money back.
Okay.
And the massage therapist said they didn't want to give their money back because, well, they had already spent it. Which also maybe shouldn't do. But she had already spent it and she didn't want to issue a refund. And she said, too bad, kind of. Like, you already purchased it. And so I guess my question is, what should people do about refunding gift certificates? Should they be non-refundable? What do you think?
Well, I think that comes back to what you were talking about at the beginning. Like, that should be clearly written into the terms and conditions of this agreement.
Yeah.
Right? When you buy a gift certificate, it is non-refundable. Yeah. That should be clearly stated. If it's not, right? If it doesn't explicitly say that it's non-refundable, right? Well, it has a monetary value to it, right? I gave you money. It doesn't say that it's non-refundable. And so I feel like I have a case to get that money back from you. Mm-hmm. If you've already spent the money, that's your own problem. Right? That's just poor cash flow management on, like, that's a business problem. Mm-hmm. I think that, if it's not explicitly said, then it should be refunded. Mm-hmm.
Just goes back to having clear policies.
Yeah.
And even having them on the gift certificate is a good idea too, I think. Right? So then they can see it.
Yeah. And I think it's just like, again, that's probably pretty rare.
Yeah.
For somebody to come and ask for a refund. Even if you, and I don't think that you, on your gift certificates, it says that it's non-refundable. No. But if a customer ever came back to you, you would refund it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just don't care enough.
And it's just like, great, yeah, let's get it off the balance sheet, right? Like, one less thing I have to worry about. Yeah. My accountant will love you. My accountant being me. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, if anyone has questions, feel free to shoot them our way, or any ideas for future topics, or if you want to learn more about balance sheets, income statements, other fun things Jordan stated, then definitely take Jordan's course on business and income tax. It's really helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah. The other thing I want to say, and I've brought this up a number of times, and maybe you'll hate me for this, but so this bookkeeping course that I've wanted to do for a long time, right? I initially said that this would be happening back at the end of 2022. It's now the end of 2023 and nothing's happened.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason why, there's a lot of reasons. I started another soap company because that's just how my midlife crisis has manifested itself. And so I've been really busy running that. You didn't laugh at my joke.
I was just thinking that you said something where you said another soap company. I was like, You did? Why you worded it? You mean another company? I'm like, why did you say it like that?
So I've been because that business has been more successful than I thought it would be, and it just requires a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so I've been busy with that. I started a new job. I've been busy doing, accounting for all of Melissa's stupid gift certificates that she keeps selling. And then the online wellness has been busy. Like, there's just a lot of things going on. We have 3 kids, and they are you and our kids are my number one priority. And so it's just been, as I'm sure anyone can relate, it's tough to manage all these things. And I don't want this podcast to be about me and my struggles managing all these different things in my life. But I said I was going to deliver something, and I haven't. And we talked recently about whether or not I could make this course an online course, because I didn't want it to be like that. I wanted it to be a 2 or 3 day course where we're in a room together and we can go through all of these, technically complex things and talk about these things. And I can actually be there to give hands-on help to get people set up. And I was resistant to the idea of doing it strictly online, but I think it could work. Mm-hmm. And so I've kind of pivoted to creating an online course, an online bookkeeping course, but there will be a component. I want there to be a component where the massage therapist will have some one-on-one time with me where I can actually help them get set up in QuickBooks, answer any questions they have, show them how to use the software, and really kind of make sure that they're successful, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the courses that we have, it's just like, okay, here's the information, like do with it what you want, right? But bookkeeping, it's like, it's such a big component of a massage therapist business. Like it needs to be done right, and it needs to be done well. And so I really want to make sure that they're successful. Not that I don't care about any of the other things, but you know what I mean? Like it's different, right? And it's just more complicated. Like the GST course that I have, like it's not that complicated. It totally works as an online course. And if you have questions, you can always ask questions. Like I'm more than willing to answer any questions that you have. But the bookkeeping, it's just, I really want people to be successful. And so that's going to be a huge project. It's going to take a long time for me to make that happen. And so stay tuned.
So we're not going to give any dates on when it'll be done.
I'm not promising anything. I mean, it's the beginning, so we're just wrapping up 2023. We haven't talked about this at all, but for sure, like your TMJ course, you've recorded a lot of that already. That'll be a must for 2024. And then, the bookkeeping will be my other main priority.
Yeah, hopefully we can get both those ones up next year.
Yeah, so. Anyways, I love all of you. Love's a strong word, but I do love doing this. I love having these podcasts. We're not sitting in our living room today because it's Christmas and it's just chaotic, but we're down in the basement.
There's Hot Wheels and Meccano. What's that stuff called?
I don't know. There's just lots of stuff going on up there. Yeah. Anyways, but anything else you want to talk about?
That's it.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to stay in touch, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We've included the links to these in the show notes. Also, be sure to check out our website, onlinewellness.ca, if you need any continuing education credits. All of our courses have been approved by massage associations across Canada. Anyways, we'll catch you next time.